What happens when one of the world's most beloved wildlife warriors gets blindsided on live television with questions that cross every line of professionalism, basic human decency? Well, you're about to find out. Because Robert Irwin just walked off the Today Show in the middle of an interview, and the footage is absolutely unbelievable. Before we roll into it, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments what you think about what went down. Robert was booked for what should have been a classic. Feel Good Morning segment updates from Australia Zoo. Conservation wins, maybe a cute animal cameo. The kind of segment he's done since he was practically in diapers. And as always, he came in smiling, respectful, enthusiastic. But what happened next? No onion, no one saw it coming. The interview started off harmless enough. The Hoslets call him Markusupend with a friendly intro and tossed a simple question about recent zoo projects. Robert lit up instantly, talking about a new baby orangutan and expanding conservation programs. For the first few minutes, everything was normal, warm, easy, predictable. Then Marcus shifted. He leaned in with this smile that didn't quite reach his eyes and said, "So, Robert, you've built quite the career for yourself, haven't you? Following in your father's footsteps must be a lot of pressure." Robert, calm as ever, answered with grace. "It's not about pressure. It's about passion. My dad taught me to love wildlife and fight for conservation. That's what drives me." Marcus nodded. But then he dropped the question that made the entire room freeze. "But is it really your work? Or are you just living off your father's name? Without Steve Irwin, would anyone care what you have to say?" The air shifted instantly. Robert's smile faded. The tension was thick enough to cut. He took a steady breath and replied, voice calm but firm. "That's unfair. Yes, my dad inspired me, but I've spent my whole life studying wildlife and building programs that make a real difference. This isn't about fame. It's about the animals." Marcus wasn't done. Not even close. "Sure, but the Irwin name opens doors. TV deals, magazine covers. How much of that is you, and how much is just the name you were born with?" Robert's jaw tightened. Still composed, but clearly hurt. "I know my dad's legacy is part of my story, but I work incredibly hard. I'm out there every single day doing the work. I'm not coasting on anything." But Marcus pushed again. "Your mom runs the zoo. Bindy's involved. It's the family business. Do you ever feel like you're just playing a role? Like you have to do this whether you really want to or not?" Robert straightened in his chair. "That's completely wrong. Nobody forced me into this. This is my calling. And honestly, it's pretty disrespectful to imply I'm not genuine about my passion." Marcus shrugged, smug. "I'm just asking what people are thinking. You're young. You're famous. Some might say you don't even have a choice. That the Irwin brand needs you to play this part." Robert's voice hardened. "I'm not playing a part. I came here to talk about conservation, not defend my life to someone who clearly has no idea what motivates me." Marcus let out a laugh. "Touched a nerve, huh? People see you and think, Steve Irwin's kid. That's always going to be the headline. Don't you ever get tired of living in his shadow?" That was the moment everything stopped. Robert went still, completely still. "My father was an incredible man who dedicated his life to protecting wildlife. I'm proud to be his son, proud to continue his work. If you think that's a shadow, then you fundamentally misunderstand everything we're doing." But Marcus pushed again this time, crossing into personal territory. "All right then, let's talk about your personal life. This squeaky clean good boy image, is that really you? Or is that just the brand? Who are you when the cameras turn off?" Robert blinked slowly. Something in him shifted. "I don't see what that has to do with anything." And that right there was the moment the interview went off the rails. Asterisk. I came here to talk about conservation initiatives, Robert said, his patience thinning. Not my personal life. Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees, voice dropping into that faux-friendly tone. Come on, Robert. Don't be boring. People want to know the real you. You're telling me you've never thought about walking away from all this? Never wished you could just be your own person instead of Irwin's son? There was an edge to Robert's voice now. I am my own person. And frankly, it's incredibly disrespectful that you keep trying to paint my work as some performance or obligation. I love what I do. I'm not going to sit here while you imply otherwise. Marcus's hands flew up in mock surrender. All right. Don't get defensive. But since we're being honest, let's talk about the zoo. A lot of people criticize animal captivity. How do you respond to those who say Australia's zoo exploits animals for profit? Robert drew in a slow breath. Modern conservation-focused zoos play a vital role in saving endangered species. We run breeding programs, rehabilitation efforts, research initiatives, education, outreach, name it. Every dollar we make goes back into that work. We're not exploiting animals. We're fighting to save them. Marcus nodded, but his expression was a practiced, theatrical skepticism. So you're saying it's all altruistic, no financial incentive? Because from the outside, it sure looks profitable. The zoo is a major tourist destination. Your family's wealthy. Conservation seems convenient for the brand, if you get my meaning. Color crept up Robert's neck. Are you seriously suggesting we use conservation as a marketing gimmick? Do you have any idea how offensive that is? My father died doing this work. My family has poured everything we have into protecting wildlife. This isn't about money or fame, it never has been. It's about saving animals who might not survive without us. Marcus held up his hands again, condescendingly calm. Hey, I'm not attacking you. I'm just asking questions. People wonder, you know? You're in the public eye, making money from the zoo, from TV, from social media. At some point, doesn't it become less about conservation and more about business? Robert's hands tightened around the chair arms. The business exists to fund the conservation. That is the entire point. We are not some theme park chasing profit margins. Every decision we make is about what's best for the animals and for global conservation efforts. I cannot make that any clearer. Marcus leaned back, crossing one ankle over the other, preparing his next strike. Okay. But let's be real. Your dad's Steve was this larger-than-life force. He took risks. He got right in there with dangerous animals. He made conservation entertaining. That's what people loved. But you're a bit more, how do I put this, polished? Safer? Do you ever worry you're just a watered-down version of him? The studio dropped into a vacuum of silence. Robert's face shifted shock, then hurt. Then something sharper. I cannot believe you just said that. He said, each word slow, measured. My father died because of the risks he took. He died doing what he loved, but he died. And you're sitting here suggesting I should be more reckless to live up to some version of him you've built in your head? Marcus's eyes widened. He tried to walk it back. No, that's not what I meant. I'm just saying your dad had this charisma, this energy. You're great at what you do, but even you have to admit you are different. Robert cut him off before the sentence finished. Of course, I'm different from him. I should be. I've said that again and again. But for you to sit here and call me a watered-down version of my father after everything I've explained about my work, my passion, and the programs we've built, it's beyond disrespectful. That's cruel. Marcus shifted uncomfortably, realizing the line he'd crossed, yet still unwilling to let go. I think you're being a little sensitive. I'm trying to have a candid conversation. Your audience compares you to your dad. That's just reality. Robert shook his head slowly. There's a difference between acknowledging comparisons and intentionally undermining everything. I do by framing me as some inferior copy of my father. You've spent this entire interview questioning my authenticity, my motivations, my character, and now you're attacking my legitimacy by comparing me to my dad in the most hurtful way possible. Marcus scoffed. I'm not attacking you. I'm asking tough questions. That's my job. If you can't handle a little scrutiny, maybe you shouldn't be in the public eye. Robert's eyes widened in disbelief. Scrutiny? You think this is scrutiny? This is a hit job. From the moment I sat down, you've done nothing but try to tear me down. You haven't asked a single genuine question about conservation, about the animals, about any of the actual work we're doing. It's been one personal attack after another. Marcus leaned in again, doubling down. Well, maybe if you gave me something interesting instead of these rehearsed talking points about conservation, we'd have a better conversation. You're boring, Robert. That I said it. You're playing it safe. Sticking to the script, and it's dull. Robert stood not abruptly, but with slow, deliberate control. I'm done. I came here in good faith to talk about meaningful work. To talk about animals that need our help. To talk about conservation initiatives that matter. Instead, you've used this platform to insult me, insult my family, question my integrity, and imply I'm failing to live up to my father's legacy. I'm not sitting here for this anymore. Marcus blinked, genuinely startled. Wait, what are you doing? We're in the middle of an interview. You can't just leave. Robert was already unclipping his microphone. Watch me. This interview is over. Air whatever footage you want. Time done participating. You should be ashamed of using your platform like this. Marcus scrambled to regain control. Come on, Robert. Don't be dramatic. Sit down. We can pivot talk about something else. What about the animals you brought today? Let's show those. Robert paused and turned back. No. You don't get to spend half an hour tearing me apart and then casually pivot to the animals like nothing happened. They deserve respect. They deserve to be presented by someone who actually cares about them, not used as props to salvage your train wreck of an interview. Marcus's tone turned defensive, brittle at the edges. Fine, walk off. But you're making a huge mistake. This is going to look really bad for you. People will say you can't take tough questions, that you're spoiled, entitled. Robert let out a short, humorless laugh. Tough questions. You never challenged me on policy, on conservation strategy, on anything substantive. You made personal attacks and called it journalism. If people think I'm entitled because I refuse to sit here and be disrespected on national television, so be it. I'd rather be called entitled than stay in this chair 1 second longer. A producer off camera tried to jump in, muttering something about going to commercial. But Robert was already moving toward the edge of the set. Marcus called after him, voice rising. This is live television, Robert. You're walking off a live show. Do you even understand what you're doing? Robert turned one last time. I understand perfectly. I'm standing up for myself and for the work my family has dedicated our lives to. I'm refusing to be a punching bag for whatever ratings stunt you thought this was. And honestly, I feel sorry for you. You had a chance to have a meaningful conversation about conservation, about wildlife, about things that matter. Instead, you chose drama and controversy that says everything about you and nothing about me. Marcus tried again, desperation creeping into his voice. You're being incredibly unprofessional right now. I invited you on this show as a courtesy to give you a platform, and this is how you repay that. Robert stopped fully and faced him head on. His voice was calm, but the anger simmered underneath. A courtesy. You call this a courtesy? You invited me to ambush me. Every question was designed to provoke, upset, create a moment. Well, congratulations, you got your moment. But it's not the one you wanted. You wanted me to lash out so you could paint me as unstable. Instead, I'm calmly walking away from a toxic situation. That's called self-respect. And for the first time, the host's polished facade finally cracked. Asterisk, he leaned back in his chair and smiled a thin, cutting smile. You know what? Maybe you're right, he said. Maybe you were just Steve Irwin's son and nothing else. Maybe without that name, you'd be nobody. How does that feel? The studio seemed to stop breathing. A collective gasp rippled through the crew. Even the camera operators, trained to stay neutral no matter what, shifted uncomfortably behind their lenses. Robert didn't move at first. He just stood there, absorbing the weight of what had been said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, steady, and devastating. I genuinely pity you, he said. I don't know what's happening in your life that makes you think speaking to people this way is acceptable, but I hope you figure it out. For now, I'm leaving. Good luck with the rest of your show. He turned and walked off the set. Behind him, Marcus scrambled for control. His voice wobbled as he addressed the camera, muttering something about unexpected circumstances and technical difficulties, but it was pointless. The collapse had already happened, live, unfiltered, irreversible. As Robert disappeared from view, Marcus tried to pull himself together. Well, that was unexpected, he said stiffly. I guess some people just can't handle honest journalism. We'll be right back after this break. But his co-host wasn't buying it. She looked horrified. I think maybe we should acknowledge that the conversation got a bit heated, she said gently. Marcus cut her off immediately. Heated, I was doing my job. Asking the questions viewers want answered. If Robert Irwin can't handle that, that's his problem, not mine. She hesitated, then said, I think calling someone a watered-down version of their deceased father might have crossed a line. That was pretty harsh. Marcus bristled. I'm not apologizing for being real. He comes on here with this flawless public image, and yeah, I pushed back. That's what good interviewers do. But the audience wasn't fooled. Social media erupted within minutes. Viewers accused Marcus of ambushing his guest, of bullying him, of turning a conservation interview into a personal attack. Hashtags exploded. Clips spread like wildfire. The co-host tried again. I just think the line of questioning became very personal very quickly. Robert came here to talk about conservation. Marcus snapped. Are you seriously criticizing me on air right now? Robert Irwin walked off our show. That's on him. If he couldn't handle scrutiny, maybe he's not as mature as people think. She went silent. Her expression said everything. When the show returned from commercial, the atmosphere was off-kilter. Marcus was visibly agitated. His co-host looked withdrawn. The energy was brittle, tense. Throughout the rest of the broadcast, Marcus kept trying to justify himself with little barbs like, sometimes interviews get tough, not everyone can handle that. But every comment only made him look worse. Online, people tore apart the moment where he compared Robert to a watered-down version of his father. Many called it cruel. Others labeled it exploitation. Media analysts weighed in, saying Marcus clearly went in with an agenda. One commentator put it bluntly, this wasn't journalism. This was a failed attempt to manufacture a viral moment by provoking a young man widely respected for his composure. Robert, they noted, never took the bait. He stayed calm. He walked away. Observers pointed out the power imbalance. Robert was young. A guest live on someone else's platform with Marcus controlling the narrative, the pacing, and the tone. Some called it bullying. Complaints poured into the network. Sponsors asked questions. Pressure mounted fast. By late afternoon, the network issued a statement. They valued respectful dialogue and were reviewing the interview. The message was clear: they were distancing themselves from Marcus. That evening, Marcus tried to defend himself on social media. "I stand by my interview with Robert Irwin today. As journalists, we must ask challenging questions. I respect the Irwin family's conservation work, but Robert is not above scrutiny." The replies were brutal. People pointed out that Marcus never asked a single substantive question about conservation. He only made it personal. Robert, meanwhile, maintained complete silence. No posts, no comments, no reactions. His restraint only strengthened public admiration. The Australia Zoo released a brief statement. Robert Irwin was eager to share important information about endangered species and our conservation programs. Unfortunately, the interview took a different direction. We support his decision to remove himself from a situation that was no longer productive or respectful. The conservation community rallied behind him. Wildlife experts, zoo professionals, and environmental groups praised his maturity. As days passed, the incident dominated headlines. Marcus became a case study in what not to do in an interview. His ratings dipped. So did his reputation, the consensus. He misread the room and the audience. The moment became part of a broader conversation about media ethics and the treatment of guests on live television. Robert had shown that walking away from disrespect, no matter the stage, can be an act of strength. He refused to be bullied. And he handled the situation with a poise that impressed nearly everyone who watched it unfold. So that's the story of how Robert Irwin walked off the Today Show. A live, televised implosion that sparked debates about integrity, professionalism, and the responsibilities of the media. What do you think? Was Robert right to walk away, or should he have tried to salvage the interview?